Good morning, YouTubers. T Square with T Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is Monday morning, back to the grind, and I think I got a great video for y'all today. Today, I didn't plan nothing out, but I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my weekend. The reason I wanted to talk a little bit about my weekend is because, one, I've seen some interesting things start to happen, and I've talked to different friends. Kind of a crazy weekend. We're starting to see, in my opinion, the economy kind of slump. And I'm going to tell you some of the things that I've seen over the weekend that really makes me believe that, more localized maybe to my area. However, some of y'all know I am in Texas. A lot of refineries, a lot of oil work. Usually we're the last place to experience a downturn in the economy. You look at 2008, yes, it happened here, but a lot of it happened here because we had one big base closure and a few other issues at the same time. So, and even then, we didn't experience it quite as bad as other places did. And now we're starting to see a lot of stuff happening. So we're going to talk about that today. Also going to touch obviously on gold, silver, what's going on with that, and the Fed meeting coming up here in just a couple days. So if you enjoyed today's video, please take a quick minute, help me out by hitting that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Hit that thumbs up if you've been watching for a little while. I really appreciate it. And with that being said, let's jump in. And as always, leave me a comment too if you, something that you've seen maybe, then how it ties into what's going on. So right off the bat, how was my weekend? So my weekend this weekend, all I pretty much did, I ended up hearing one of my neighbors was going to be doing a yard sale on Saturday, and I wanted to piggyback off that. And do a sale because I was like, hey, it's a good opportunity, get rid of some clutter. Some of y'all know I've got a couple storage units full of stuff. I've got a house full of stuff, and I want to be moving pretty soon again. And so kind of wanted to get rid of some stuff and make a few dollars. On top of that, I've had multiple friends hit me up recently wanting to sell a little bit of silver, maybe a couple of small gold coins. And I kind of think that it kind of ties. People are selling because things are starting to come up. Times are getting a little tough right now. Some of the things that I've seen from that over the weekend, I've seen multiple yard sales in the area. And it was kind of interesting. I actually had one person come to my yard sale, and we were just sitting there talking. I talk to everybody throughout the day. I like to hear people's thoughts. It gives me fuel to talk about stuff on the video. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, the person's like, I got a question for you. Do you do a show online? And I was like, yep. And I knew right off who it was after he had said that, because I kind of know the people that watch the channel, and I kind of try to feel out where people are, especially if you're a member of the channel. So it was kind of really cool to bump into somebody, and he recognized that from voice alone, and I was like, wow, or just the way I talk. So I found that kind of exciting and interesting. It's always great to meet new people. Sometimes I get a little nervous meeting new people because, you don't really always know people. And then when you meet them, sometimes it works out good. Sometimes it works out bad. Me and him got along great, so I was pretty excited about that. I'm sure he's watching the video now too. But some of the stuff that I've seen over the weekend, not just having people hit me up, hey, you interested in maybe picking up this, picking up that? I just need to, a few $100s to make ends meet this month. And that's a good sign, kind of. It means you're going to pick up some deals. I know some people, it's a bad sign that the economy is slipping. I know we've had a lot of layoffs in the area. Jobs across the country are really starting to kind of dwindle, I guess you can say. Are there always going to be fast food jobs? Well, yeah, there's always going to be minimum wage. I don't want to say low-end jobs because we need those. I'll say service jobs. There's always going to be a certain amount, but they're not really like high-end. And, when you start seeing this happening, it usually leads to a slowing down of the economy. I went to a couple restaurants last week and met up with some friends. And on top of that, I seen the businesses kind of have slowed down. And that could be tied to a lot of workers having left the area. A couple of big refineries, the plants, the yards, kind of slowing down. A lot of people getting cut. Doesn't sound like there's any new big jobs coming up any time this year. A lot of them are saying after the new year, after the new year. And I think that's an interesting sign that things are starting to kind of slump. And the reason that is usually this early in the year, they don't start slowing down. Now, I understand come, November and December, late November, most of December, they usually will start slowing down. And when that happens, that's essentially, comes back online here in the first month of the new year, once everything's been taken care of, new budgets, new everything. So with that being said, I am really excited, though, to see what's going to happen with the Fed meeting. Now, obviously, if the Fed starts seeing a slowing down in the labor market, there's a good chance they're going to cut interest rates. Now, something we've talked about on the channel, when they do decide to cut interest rates, that could have a big jump for gold and silver. Now, the downside is because it's pretty predictable that we're going to see an interest rate cut. A lot of people are saying we're going to see it. A lot of people believe that jumps are already priced in, or the majority of it is priced in. Some people might be holding out, waiting. I've heard a couple people say they don't think there's going to be a rate cut because inflation has not really been handled. Inflation is still a little bit up. And with a rate cut, what does that do? That makes money cheap. Obviously, cheap money promotes people to spend. I mean, you look at what happened with me. They gave me interest free for a year. What did I do? I went and spent money. So another thing that I seen over the weekend as I was doing my yard sale, I seen multiple people driving around and picking up scrap metal. Some people call it recycling. Some people call it the metal man. And I personally like doing this. Some of y'all know I do my aluminum cans. I end up picking stuff up if I see it on the side of the road. I'm always doing that. And then I'll end up taking that scrap metal like once every couple months. And even if I only get a few $100s, it's still something. And some people think, oh, well, it's not like you're going to get a few $100s off of scrap metal, but you would be surprised. I have one buddy, all he really does is aluminum cans and picks up ACs on the side of the road, strips out all the copper, doesn't really do anything with the junk metal. He says it's too cheap to even want to bother with it, but the copper is where the big money's at. Now, I know when he went about 2 weeks ago, he called me up and said, hey, you want to bring some stuff? I'm bringing my truck. I'm driving it out there. And so I said, yeah, I'll put a couple. At first I said no, but then I was like, you know what, just go. So I ended up going, put some stuff together, and he ended up getting like almost $700. Now think about that, $700 in just copper ACs, copper coils, all free money to really kind of stretch things out and really plug in the holes, essentially, where people are starting to get hit. Prices of everything is going even higher. Another thing that I realized only last night, by the time I got done doing my yard sale, got all the signs taken down and picked up, I wanted to go eat somewhere. And I saw a buddy of mine. I said, hey, what are you doing, man? You want to go for a ride? So we went for a ride, and he said, hey, did you see they're not doing any more of the coupons for the Sonic coupons? They're not doing the Subway coupons. They're cutting a lot of coupons. The specials have gone down. What used to be, like essentially I think it was a $5.99 sandwich or a $6.99 sandwich is now like a $6.99 or $7.99 sandwich, the cheapest ones. And it's interesting to see that a lot of deals are being cut. You're seeing people start writing on the menus again. How many people remember this when they were just like taking like a Sharpie and some kind of like white tape or something, and they were just changing? Why are they changing that quick? That's something that people need to kind of pay attention to, because here's what happens. One thing too, real quick, before I get off on here's what happens. Actually, let's stay on point first. So what happens when the price starts going up too, people don't always want to raise their prices right off. I have one friend that he owns a restaurant, and he said, I've kind of been holding out to raise the price because I don't really want to raise it just yet. But now it doesn't feel like prices are coming down. And I told him, I said, chances are prices aren't going to come down anytime soon. Beef is going to stay up. A lot of stuff is going to continue to stay up, especially if they cut interest rates. Now, with beef, the only thing that might help us out is they might end up sending a lot of cows to the market. If that happens, obviously an influx of cows on the market getting butchered does have a temporary small pullback in the price of beef. Only because so many hitting the market all at once, it's just like anything else. If so much silver comes to the market all at once, you see the price dip, but it doesn't stay down for that long. I talked to that one friend. I said I would end up, if we see a pullback even 50 cents a pound on beef, I would stock up. I talked to multiple people over the weekend, and they're seeing their costs go up at their restaurants. And so I think it's interesting to see how this is going to play out. One thing I didn't see a lot of is a lot of people yard sailing. Now, I did see 4 yard sales going on in my small little area. When you have that many yard sales, obviously that means some people are trying to get ahead of the curve. I'll be honest, I want to unload as much stuff as I can because I foresee that there will be a lot of yard sales coming. If the economy starts tightening and people have to make ends meet, less people tend to donate. We actually seen the last time we had a big drop in the economy, we seen goodwill donations actually start slumping. Why? Because a lot of people will hang on to what they got. They'll try to repurpose what they got. They'll try to sell what they got. And a lot of opportunities for deals. Now, one of my strategies has always been when everybody else is trying to sell off things because money's tight, that's kind of when I like to buy up stuff. Buy, bulk up, get extra stuff. And then when everybody is spending like crazy, it's kind of when I like to save, invest a little bit more. One of the other things I've noticed, and this is something that's not new to me, it's something I've seen, people are just overall wasteful. Things have been good for us for too long, and a lot of people don't want to waste time doing a yard sale. I had multiple people say, I would just donate it. Is it really worth giving up your weekend? For $400 and you're giving up your stuff, is it worth it? I asked myself that. I'll be honest, Sunday is definitely not worth it. Saturday was a great day. I pulled most of my money during Saturday, a little bit of money on Sunday. But when you think about it, for the people that are just going to donate their stuff anyway, well, they're already giving up their stuff. They're just getting rid of it for free. So it's kind of interesting on that note. Interesting to see what all sells. More the people that are out yard sailing seem like they're more people that have a little bit of a, I won't say prepper background, but I will say a frugal background. Saturday morning when I first started, I noticed a lot of, it was kind of funny. There was like multiple Filipino people, technically ladies, that came by. Same with Hispanics that came by, Mexicans, no English, just, from the valley, maybe here working, picking up stuff, driving around. I don't know if that has to do with, foreigners just seem to understand what's going on. They understand the way the system is more than the average American. I don't know if that has to do with us being brainwashed or desensitized to everything. But it's interesting how that's playing out. Taking a quick look, and then we're going to get into the Fed meeting again just a little bit, but taking a quick look at silver price right now. We're seeing silver price continue to kind of inch up just a little bit. Not up a whole lot, but even 14 cents is a nice little jump. We've seen it do great on Friday afternoon. I kind of wondered if we wouldn't see a little bit of a pullback on the silver price due to the Fed meeting that is coming. Because obviously, with the Fed meeting right around the corner, there's a good chance they're going to try to strengthen the dollar. And that could, bump up the price, bump down the price of silver a little bit by them strengthening it. But there's a possibility they won't even try because we know they're going to cut interest rates. There's a really good chance, in my opinion, we're going to see a rate cut. If that rate cut comes, money will get cheaper, like I said. More people will take that money and invest it in gold, silver, Bitcoin, and then we'll see how things will play out. The other interesting thing that I've touched on that I will be talking more about is at the end of the month. We're coming up on the end of the third financial quarter. Remember that, because every financial quarter that ends, silver short positions a lot of time either get rolled over onto a new, and I shouldn't say rolled over, that's kind of an improper term. Usually they'll buy new ones, cover their old ones, and then kind of kick the can down the road a little bit longer. One of the other things, real quick, I know I already got off topic on the yard sale, but I'm going to jump back over there just for a brief minute. One of the things I was thinking about over the weekend that was interesting is stuff that you put in your yard sale is actually seemed like it was selling for a little bit more money. I was telling someone, I said, well, when you think about it, the yard sale stickers that I had in the package that came already pre-printed and everything, I was like 5 cents, 10 cents. I'm not using any of those. I'm not giving anything away for 10 cents. Them can pretty much just go in the trash. Cheapest things, 50 cents, maybe a quarter, $1. But when you think about it, you go to like the Dollar Tree, $1.25 minimum, and a lot of the stuff now jumping up to $1.50. So, one of the things I noticed, the stuff sold for more. So at the end of the weekend, when I'm tallying up how much money I made, I'm like, it ain't a lot, but even if I pick up, a handful of ounces of silver, it's something. What's funny is even though yard sale potential has doubled to where you can make more money in a yard sale because people are willing to pay you more for the products that they buy, even if they're used, because buying them new is going to cost a lot more. You think about like anything really that you go to the store now and buy, it all costs more. And so it's easier for you to get a little bit more instead of the low prices. But what was the most funniest that, we talk about this anyway, that I'm still only able to get about the same amount of ounces of silver that I would have been able to buy from a yard sale 2-3 years ago. Yeah, the price of silver would have been a lot cheaper, but the stuff that I sold, I wouldn't have got as much money for. And so that's kind of interesting, but that makes sense. That's why we always say it's not the items that are going up in price. It's the currency that we're using, the dollars that are going down in price. So that's something interesting too. Taking a quick look at the gold price. Gold price right now trading at $3,645. We've seen a little bit of a pullback. Excuse me. Exhausted. I didn't get much sleep this weekend, I can tell you that. The first day, Friday, I was up all night, and then I like to start setting up for my yard sale at like literally 3 in the morning. Some people are like, what in the world do you get up that early? But, I'm trying to pull a lot of stuff out. I see some yard sales, they only have a couple items. I actually had one of my neighbors ask me if I could put a few items in my sale for them, just so they could make a few extra dollars. And I said, absolutely. So, anyway, anytime I can help someone out, it's not like it costs me anything. So, gold, it's interesting. It started coming down a little bit and then having that pop up. So we'll see how that plays out as the week goes on. Taking a quick look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin up a fair amount. We were all the way down to 109,000. Now we're back up to 115. We talked about this in previous videos that when the rate cut comes, you would probably see a little bit of an uptick in the Bitcoin. But I would not be surprised after this month to see it start coming back down. But who knows? We'll see how that plays out, because with inflation, everything tends to go up. And when people realize inflation is getting worse, they're going to look for what they think is a sound investment to put some extra money, if they even have any more. Because if the economy is slowing, then essentially they're not going to have extra money to kind of essentially use on, investment stuff, unless they're just really good or they've got a steady income coming in. So definitely something to think about if you're holding Bitcoin or you're looking for opportunities. So moving on real quick, just got to take a quick look at this. I like showing this. We still got, let me see if that did refresh. I think it is refreshed, but let's just make sure. Oh, wow, nice. Look at that. They show silver price, though, at 42.82, which technically is using the futures price, not the actual spot price. We've talked about that in multiple videos. Know the difference between the futures price and the spot price. I actually was telling someone that the other day, and he said, whoa, what does that mean, futures price? I've heard you say spot price, but I've never heard you use the word futures price. So futures price to me is a good indicator of the direction that we're going to see silver work towards. Seeing it at 42.82 to me is promising, assuming this is the futures. I'm assuming it is, but it's promising that to me that silver is going to continue to slowly work its way up, though. With that being said, obviously, as always, this is not financial advice, nor should it be considered as such. Just something to kind of build a little confidence. What are my plans on purchasing right now? So I don't plan on doing any purchasing unless we see a little bit of a pullback for the time being. If that means that I have to wait until the end of the month, the end of the financial quarter, to try to pick up a little stuff, I'm prepared to do that. If I see a nice little drop in the extremely low 40s, like $40 and under 50 cents, then I will probably pick up a small order. Other than that, I don't plan on buying for the immediate time being. But we'll see how that will play out. I do still pick up stuff if someone needs money, because deals like that are usually, spot price deals. So in a case like that, it's a good opportunity, I think, if someone's, or even in some cases, a little bit behind spot. I think the best deal that I've gotten, I picked up a little while back, I picked up some Eagles at spot price. I picked up 2 10-ounce bars that I'll probably show you guys in a short. One of the reasons why I like signing up with, I'm going to be honest, I take all the deals that companies run. You know how companies will run those spot price deals? I've talked about them before. I actually got a call about a week ago, if that, from one company that said, hey, we're just giving you a call. We haven't heard from you in a while. Didn't know if you were following the silver and gold price. I said, I followed a little bit, but I haven't been buying a whole lot right now. Kind of wondering if we're going to see a big pullback. And the gentleman's like, well, you know what? We got a great deal right now. We've got some 10-ounce Buffalo bars, and it came out to $402 or $404 for a 10-ounce bar. And I actually just got them in the mail yesterday, on Saturday. Saturday. So good to know that when you think about it. There are some deals out there. That's why I always say take advantage of the spot price deals. Now, I think that was a spot price deal when I got it. Might have been 50 cents over spot at most. So I was pretty happy with that deal, especially looking at the price now. Silver is going up in price, in my personal opinion. Even if I say I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback, that does not mean I'm looking for a huge pullback. A little bit of a pullback means we might see a pullback that lasts a day, maybe 3 days at most, because next month, that's it. We're in the fall now, and typically the fall months start raising the price of precious metals. And when you look at how much we've already gone up on gold, how much we've already gone up on silver, opportunity is there, in my personal opinion. So I want to be ready for it. I want to have a little cash put together in case some deals come my way, and then kind of go with it. So with that being said, let's just jump over here for a quick minute and see what we got. 24 minutes. Not a long video today. A little bit of a shorter because everybody's eyes are what's going on with the Fed meeting. The Fed meeting will be happening over the next couple days. I think it goes, let's see, 15. So it goes 16th and 17th. I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday. So that will be good to see how that plays out. Hopefully we do see a pullback. I would love to see a pullback on Friday. Now, for the people out there that are stacked to the T, I shouldn't say to the T. That makes it sound like, I don't know. They've got a ton of silver, let's just say. For those people, I do get the comments that, hey, dude, I don't want to see it go down. I want to see it just keep going up. Reason I say that is a lot of people out there are still looking for opportunities. A lot of people are getting in now. They would love another year to stack at cheaper prices. Ultimately, what I want or what you want is going to have no impact on the price. What's going to happen is going to happen. Now, I think in the long run, even between now and the end of the year, we're going to see silver a lot higher at the end of the year. And that's not even the long run. That's the short run. Long run, it's going to be a whole lot higher. Excuse me. So for that reason, I'm still trying to pick up what I can when I can. But unfortunately, like I've always said, every penny makes a difference. If I can buy a 10-ounce bar and save even $1 or $2, if I'm willing to sit in the hot sun all day for a yard sale, you can bet I'm willing to try to scrape everywhere I can, because ultimately I think it will have a huge difference when that day comes. And it will come, but the question is, will you be prepared for it? I think things are getting harder on us. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. So thank you all for watching. Going to wrap up here. Please be sure to check out some of these other great videos. Trying to increase our subs. So if you know anybody, you got any friends, family, maybe you can grab their phone for a quick minute, hit that subscribe button, help me out. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out more than you know. With that being said, we'll come back tomorrow. We'll see if we can put together a really good topic. If you have a topic that you think would be a good video, don't hesitate to leave a comment. It doesn't necessarily mean I'll be able to do it. If someone asks me about a specific coin on cryptocurrencies, I don't track a whole lot of cryptocurrencies. When I see one really have a big move, generally I don't want to be a part of it at that point. Once everybody is talking about something, I always feel like I've kind of missed the boat. I know there's a lot of people that feel that way with silver, like they missed the boat on gold, they've missed the boat on silver. Here's the thing, gold and silver keep having small pullbacks and then big pushes higher. Small pullback, another big push higher. Almost like high tide. The waves are coming in right now. And every time the wave slips back a little bit or we see a good pullback, we always seem to get more people involved. We always see a lot of the silver dry up. We see demand pick up, obviously. And if that happens towards the end of the month, that we see a pullback in the silver and gold price, it will be interesting how many people buy that up, because people are starting to realize there's a big drift between the United States and a lot of these other countries. I don't know if you've been following. We had China, Russia, India, North Korea. A lot of countries are meeting up with each other to the point where even Trump came out and tweeted not too many days ago that essentially they're all conspiring against us. So it's interesting to see. Obviously, the U.S. is kind of backed in a corner, and there's not really much we can do about it. I mean, we're not going to start, I'll say W3 over something like this, but obviously, we're looking for what we can do to keep the system going. Nobody wants to lose essentially the world reserve currency once they got it, but we're seeing it slip away from us. And for the people out there that are naysayers or they don't believe in silver, you don't have to look too far to see what's going on around the world and realize that it could be the dollar's days are numbered. Now, do I want to see that happen? Of course not. I benefit by being a member or being a part of the country that has the world reserve currency, but it doesn't change what could be happening very soon. So, and we've talked a little bit about that. We'll probably talk a little bit more about that in an upcoming video. If there's something you want to hear about, leave a comment, let me know. And with that being said, I will see you guys again on T-Square Talk. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and thank you all for watching. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.